talking with Mike. Mike has taken the liberty of talking to his suppliers. They are willing to postpone it until next year, which would give us the next budget cycle to build this in, so it does not have the impact, the negative impact on the levy that you were concerned about. And so I will leave it in your hands. We do have the contracts, performance bonds, everything is ready to be addressed. My recommendation is that you give serious consideration to postponing it until next year, not eliminating the project.
So if this is postponed a year and we decide between now and a year we don't want to do it, where does that leave us?
Well, I think it's the position you're in right now is, well, I'll let Carter speak to the legal side of it. You have the contract, you've awarded the bid, you have the contract and performance bonds in front of you ready for approval.
Right. He also told me the other day that we don't have to do this because he has not signed.
No.
Again, I understand. I'll let Carter deal with the legal side of it.
Okay, let's hear from Mr. Carter then.
I'm not sure I really understand the question, so maybe repose the question.
The question is, if we postpone this for a year, let's just say tonight we're going to put 1 year from today, then it's effective. And sometime between now and the year, even though this contract has not been signed, if we decide not to do this, where does that leave us?
I think if you decide to, that is a good question. The last time this came up, we made a decision based on inaccurate information. In that you made decisions based on you thinking you were going to tax the citizenry one amount of money, and it was the wrong information. So my opinion was based on the fact that you guys all made kind of a mutual mistake when you made your decision. This time around, you wouldn't be making a mutual mistake, so you'd be entering into council action based on no mistaken information, but rather you've agreed to sign this contract or do something a year from now. So unless we found some new mutual mistake, I think my opinion would be that we have to honor the council action. But and so last time's issue was unusual because we had this collective mutual mistake that all the council people made. So that would be, I've probably given you a lawyer answer and not a straight answer. I know you like straight answers, but what I'm trying to say is if I don't get the impression that there's a mutual mistake made this time around, I don't think my opinion would not be that we can undo it. Whereas last time, that was my opinion because I knew that we made this mutual mistake.
Do you remember our last phone call that you and I talked?
Yeah, I think that's what my discussion
And
was.
you and I talked, and you said as long as that contract was not signed,
Correct.
we could get out of it. We could
Correct.
back out of it.
Correct, and that was based
Now,
on.
what has changed between our conversation and now?
What's changed is that when you acted before, you had the mutual mistake of not knowing the correct numbers. Now I think you do know the correct numbers.
Oh, so now we could back out of it.
You could, yeah,
We could back out of it, but if we agree to go ahead with it, we have to go ahead.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
So-
You can agree to go, you can agree to back out of this now, in my opinion, because of the mutual mistake you made based on the numbers. No contract's been signed, no one's acted to their detriment. We're not gonna get sued because we've not signed any contracts with anybody. So we can back out of it. And when you made your council decision, I don't think you knew what you were doing. You made a mistake, not because
That
you
happens a lot.
didn't know the numbers. So I think
Right.
that would be the justification why it was
Well, we did
not-
know the numbers, didn't we?
No, you had the numbers wrong, I think, whenever you made this decision last time.
Wasn't the numbers $620,000?
I think it's I'm talking about the taxing numbers.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, that's the number I'm relying
We're
on.
talking about two different
So,
numbers.
in my opinion, it's a little bit in the gray area, okay? I could have just said, no, you can't do it, but I don't think that's correct because of this mistake that was made. But now, if you don't undo this now, you're not making any mistake any longer.
We're going into it full bore.
Right, and I think you're bound by it.
I think we as a council have been throwing money hand over fist for quite a while, and that's probably the reason that we're out of money. I don't think it has anything to do with this mistake was made in the bookkeeping, I think all that done was magnify it. I think it jumped it right off the paper.
Well, I can't comment on that because I'm not a
Well, I think
politician.
it's, I guess what I'm getting to, I think it's about high time we stop spending money like drunken sailors.
Is my opinion clear enough now?
Yeah.
Okay.
So are you saying we need to make a motion one way or the other tonight? Either to,
I think right now, you've already made a decision, and that is tonight, I think what you're talking about is delaying the project for a year. Isn't that what you're talking about tonight?
but don't we have to vote on that tonight
Right.
if we want to
I
delay
think
it?
Or
once
table.
I think if you vote on it I think you can still rescind it if that's what you want to do based on this mutual mistake. It would have to be a motion to rescind it, this action.
If that's the case, why don't we just table it?
If you table it, I suppose procedurally you could table it, but you're not undoing it. You're just,
No, that's true, but if we decide to go ahead tonight, 1 year from today, let's say.
if you make
We've
that.
made a decision to
Right,
throw
correct.
away $600,000.
You've made a decision, whether you think it's, the political twist you've used is to throw away 600 grand. I'm not affirming that, I'm just saying you've made a decision. If you decide to sign, to enter into this contract a year from now, you've made a decision, and I don't think you can get out of it.
All right, so if we table it, that also leaves the door open for going back into it again.
Probably does. It probably does.
So it's the same thing, except for not closing the door.
I think that would be consistent with what I've said tonight, yes. If you table it, you've not made a final decision, and you're still opening up the door to undo it later.
Right.
Because you're.
Wouldn't that be the smart thing to do, guys?
Where does that leave our contractor?
I think that before you decide to table it and leave the contractor in limbo for a year, I'd like to hear from the contractor. I think that my discussion with him suggested that we enter into the contract postponing the work until the next fiscal year, until next year.
We can hear from the contractor, but it's not his fault. We're in this situation. I'm not saying it is.
I'm not sure I pointed a finger at the contractor.
Well, whoever he is, I don't care who he is, it's not his fault. I'm not trying to punish him. He obviously is gonna wind up with the short end of the stick, but,
Right, but that's probably change his decision on other projects that we have down the road. We've already.
well, he's gonna have a year to go down the road and change all them projects,
This will be
right?
the third project. If you throw this one out, this will be the third time in about a year and a half this time.
Mike, will you
Yeah.
come up?
I guess my quick question to you, Carter, is we did a bid letting and accepted a bid. We just have not signed the contract.
Right.
Does that give him any legal ramifications?
No, because you haven't signed a contract, but you're in a, if he's acted to his detriment, okay, if he's detrimentally relied on that bid acceptance and he has damages, yes, is the answer. If he has not, then there's no damages that he can sue us for not honoring the contract. So we're in kind of we're in a spot where we're in trouble, but we're not quite in trouble. But we could get sued theoretically if the contractor can prove that he detrimentally relied on us accepting the bid. There is no contract at this point, so a deal is not a deal till the contract is made. But he could have damages between when we accepted the bid letting and when we denied signing the contract. That's theoretically possible.
There was a project bid at the hospital here a week or so ago, and I couldn't bid that as aggressively as I wanted to, because I thought I had this job.
And that would be an example where we could be on the hook for him detrimentally relying on us accepting the bid, but not, so the lawsuit against us would not be based on a contract, because we don't have one, but it would be based on a detrimental reliance theory that.
Damages.
And there was another parking lot in Dubuque I passed up on,
Mike, how long have you been in this business?
38 years.
I was in business myself about that long, and I wouldn't have any idea how many contracts I missed out on something quite similar to this. And it's just part of being in business, you roll the punches, and after 38 years, I'm sure you know that.
Say what
I mean, we put a lot of time into it.
I understand it, and I'm telling you right now, I'm not blaming you.
I know you're not, but
It's not your fault. I feel sorry. I've been in your shoes a lot of times, and it stings. It stings every time. But that's also part of being in business. There's some people that spent their whole life doing nothing except
council
collecting government
recommends
checks, and
award,
they probably don't understand that.
Let's let him talk a minute.
Okay.
Thank you.
Here that the council recommends award, you think you got the job. So, and I mean, that was a nice job at the hospital, I passed up on. That was a real nice job. That was
And you've
great.
done several other jobs for the city of Independence over the years, have you not?
Have we?
Yes.
Several others.
I think one of the things we need to consider here is that prior to discovering our error on the levy impact, this council all voted for this project and approved this project, which to me said that everybody on this council thought that it is something we needed to do. And the only reason we're talking about not doing it this year is because of the detrimental effect that our error in estimating what the levy cost would be. I think personally, if we can put this off until the next budget year when we have a better handle on what not to put in the budget because of this coming up, that's as good as we can expect to come out. The citizens don't end up paying for it this year because of the fact that we didn't really realize what the levy impacts were going to have, and even though this is TIF money, it does take taxes out of circulation because you do use TIF money on it. So I guess I would be inclined to favor postponing this till the FY17 budget year. We're not, are we talking about a huge increase, or are we talking about the same price as we got now?
Well, I can hold them for a while. I mean, I can't tell you what the suppliers are gonna, how long they're gonna hold their prices.
I'm saying,
If we start this